Hi, gang. It's Kale.
And Patrick.
Coming up on today's episode, we confront and question our sanity with an unhinged review of Escape from Tomorrow. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Patrick, this is the best thing to wear for today. You understand. Because I don't like women in skirts. And the best thing is to wear pantyhose or some pants under a short skirt, I think. Then you have the pants under the skirt, and then you can pull the stockings up over the pants underneath the skirt, and you can always take off the skirt and use it as a cape. So I think this is the best costume for today. I have to think these things up, you know. Mother wanted me to come out in a kimono, so we had quite a fight. Kazuki!
Is that little Evie? Little Edie, I mean?
Yes.
Now, is this from the documentary or is this from the Drew Barrymore?
This is from the documentary. They do this in the Drew Barrymore movie. She does do the revolutionary costume for today. But let me tell you, this is the most random thing ever. Because me and my mom, like growing up, never agreed on a film. Like we never liked the same movie. Randomly, when I was a kid, me and my mom were both obsessed with this documentary, and so we would quote it to. Yes, like we would quote it to. Like I would, "Mother darling," and she would, and she would do. It's just us chickens here, like the whole, the whole thing. But what a random movie for a mother and her son to be obsessed with simultaneously. But
it's telling. It's telling.
Okay, do mine.
Kale, cat flu English.
Gosh. Okay.
We'll put a pin in that and we'll come back to it. The cat flu.
Right. It's also hysterical that cat flu is a topic of discussion today, considering you and I are still not 100% over our ailments from the last episode.
That's right. That's true. Yeah, we both maybe have cat flu. Who can say?
Right, we might. We might.
Boy.
Oh boy. How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm good. Yeah, like you. So we both had the same cold at the same time.
Yes.
Mine went away and then came back after I went to Disneyland.
Right.
And now it's gone again, but I have that. No one cares about this, but I'm going to say I still have a cough that like comes out every 6 minutes or something. Just one cough.
Yes.
One teeny tiny cough, and that's it.
So mine was the same way, which is hilarious because we sort of figured out last time. By the way, everybody that listened to that episode has messaged me and said it was absolutely hilarious to hear us record when we were sick. It reminded me of like Phoebe. Do you remember when Phoebe got the cold and thought it was really sexy? But we had figured out that you had yours like a week longer than mine, and you were telling me like, because I was like, I'm not coughing yet, and you were like, oh, just hold your horses, and you were not kidding. And so I was in, not this past week, the week before, I was in New York on a work trip.
Yeah.
And felt fine the entire time I was there, and then came back and was like, oh no, I've caught something else in New York. No, it's the same thing. It just did exactly what yours did. It was dormant for about a week and I was fine, and then it kicked right back up again. But it's still not as bad as it was the time before.
Oh, sure.
I don't think we're going to have to take a break between breaks like we did the last time we recorded.
My God. It was like we were underwater and on NyQuil or something.
Oh, it was insane. We would literally, during the breaks, you and I would look at each other and be like, did that make any sense?
Right.
Because we were just in a fog. But
it's true. It's true. Oh, and true. The podcasting is so fun because as soon as I start talking, the dogs start running around upstairs. So I'm sure that when you're listening to this, you're like, "What's happening?" Is
it always does. There's always like a thing that happens where like when I wake up, first of all, I love our Saturday morning recordings, by the way. This is my favorite, which I know is unfair to you because it gives you less time to edit, but this is my favorite time to record. Yeah. But it never fails that like I wake up, I have my coffee, I get ready, and then the dogs are fine. They're like angels of the morning. Yeah. They're like Juice Newton all the way, right?
Right.
And then,
like, can I pour you some
legit
tea? May I make you a cup?
And then you and I log on to this typically around like 11 my time, and I promise you at 10:57, ants in everyone's pants. Like all of a sudden, it's like I don't even know how to explain it. Like they're just going absolutely crazy, and I'm like, guys, we can't do it, not today. But
yeah, they lose it. They lose their minds. All right. Well, other than all of that, how are you mentally? What's new? Or do you want to just get into the episode?
Let's just get into. I'm just kidding. No, I'm actually. Yeah, right. No, I'm actually doing really well mentally. I'm doing good. I wish that the cold would finally just leave my body, but I feel like I am slowly realizing that I might be stretching myself too thin with a couple things, but which is fine. But I just have to sort of make priorities or decide what I want my priorities to be and whatnot. And so, that's fine, but doing good.
Being aware of that is so much better than when we were in our 20s and unaware of it and then just wore ourselves to death.
No, completely. Also, that is not a hint that the podcast is one of those things stretching me very thin.
I can let you go very easily.
I know the listeners at home, they're like, oh, he's leaving. We've been waiting for this.
I have no problems replacing you with dead air, and it'll be fine.
Oh, my God. Okay. All right. Well, now I think we should jump in.
Great.
A major water bomb was dropped this week.
Was it major? I don't know.
I kind of think it was major. So
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're talking about the sort of short teaser for Moana 2.
Yes.
Are you excited?
I am actually coming out this November, which is I always love a November because they usually use November as like what they're most proud of for the year. I feel
very much so. Yeah,
Disney. I'm excited
which is
about
interesting because Little Mermaid opened in May,
but they couldn't wait. That's why.
Right. Oh yeah. Fair. No, I will say that it seems the only thing that makes me nervous about this is it seems very ambitious in a very short amount of time. Disney has never announced a film and then it releases later in the same year. Do you know what I mean?
It is weird. Like they must have been working on it for a while before they were ready to announce that they're going to release. I don't know. It was a weird.
Well, from my understanding, this was a series. They were working on an animated series, and so I think like the majority of the footage was done. And then I think that they were very proud of it, and apparently it came together so well. They were like, "No, we're going to make this a full blown feature." And so, from my understanding, that's what happened. That's what I read. But you can't believe everything you read.
Here's what's funny about this trailer is that careful when you go out there and look for the Moana trailer because there's so many fake ones out there right now.
There's so many fake ones.
I was like, wait,
some of them
I thought this was just
for,
17 seconds, but it's actually a 3-minute trailer. It's like, this is not real.
No, yeah, it's not. Some of the fake ones though, I absolutely live for.
Yeah, they're funny. They're funny because they're just because they get you for just a hot second, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, that's not their voice. This is
right.
weird.
Or you're like, that's Elsa. Yeah. Like
right.
it's But I am excited about it. I think that it'll be.
Yeah.
I think that
the image they released with that enormous whale underneath I was holy buckets. This is going to be like an IMAX release or something.
But what is strange, and this, I mean, they haven't talked about this, and so who knows? But it's just interesting to me that they've announced this sequel, but they've also announced that currently in the works is a live action retelling of the first one.
I'm confused about all of it. Do we need a live action Moana? Absolutely not, in my opinion.
Not right now. I would say not right now.
B, like Ali'i Cravaho. Is that how you say your last name?
Correct us, folks. Correct us at home, folks.
Come for us. Anyways, she's famously not in the live action remake, but she is voicing Moana in Moana 2. Yeah. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in all three things now. Right. So I'm very confused about it.
His job now is Maui. How Kin's job is beach. The Rock's job is Maui.
That's exactly right. My hope is that they go, let's just stop production on live action Moana.
Well, it wouldn't shock me, and to be honest, if it's Moana is a great film, and it's an awesome franchise. I would say if they wanted to continue that franchise, just let that run for a decade if need be.
My thought on it is like, I'm here for a live action remake when it makes sense. The Moana one to me doesn't make sense. It came out so recently, and it was such a hit because of how beautiful it was animation-wise, and how the mixing of the two arts of performance and animation like made this movie what it was. So why are we completely ruining it by turning it into a live? It's like, why would you look at a painting of a bowl of fruit and then just like take a bowl of fruit on tour. Like, it's just like, I don't understand. We don't need it.
No, absolutely. And I will also say that this is not the first time that they've never done it with a major motion picture, but it's not the first time that Disney has taken what originally was the idea for a series, right? And then moved it into a film sort of format.
Right.
And most of the time when that happens, the reviews of it are not great. Like the finished product is not ever what and so part of me really, really hopes that this movie is not just like several episodes of a show. Do you know what I mean? That we're paying to see. And so,
we have thoughts. We have thoughts.
We do have
let
thoughts.
us know.
But I am excited. I am excited. Yes, let us know your thoughts on Moana 2.
Yes, please. Yes, please. All right, what's up next, Kale?
So we have a new Patreon member.
We do. It's been a while. And this new Patreon member is going by the name Little Fox on Patreon, which I'm living for it.
I'm obsessed.
I don't want you to have a different name, like even if your name is John or Sarah. Nope, you're Little Fox from now on. But thank you so much for joining our Patreon family. Speaking of Patreon families, Kale, we have the happiest hour on Earth coming up this, what is it, February 24th.
We sure do, at 2:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
It's very, very true. 1 p.m. Central Time if you're in Minnesota like me. How can you be a part of this happiest hour on Earth, Kale?
You just have to join the GDTD Patreon for any amount at any time.
It's just that easy. And where would one go to join the Patreon? I'm testing you right now if you can't tell.
You would go to www.gaysdothed.com, click That's donate.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you right now.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Patrick just learned that I listen to our podcast, guys.
I did. I also learned that you use www in front of things. Like, you don't have to type that
everything.
Anymore.
I know. I'm very. I still do that to this day.
You put your like AOL CD in the disk drive, and then
when the free trial runs out, I go to the store and get another one. So my email is never the same.
Or you like sign up for a new magazine and get a free AOL disk in the mail.
Do you remember those?
100%. Do I remember
hilarious.
them? Listen, that was my childhood.
Same. My gosh.
Amazing. So yes, please join us on Patreon. As Kale said, for any amount you can join our family, even if it's $1 reoccurring a month, and then you get extra surprises like the happiest hour on Zoom, where we hang out with our favorite listeners. Everyone's our favorite listener, but our extra favorite listeners, and just have a good time on Zoom.
Yes, come join us.
Well, speaking of listeners, Kale, let's celebrate.
This is my favorite part. Every episode.
I like that. Listeners, Kale just did a little dance instead of a vocal and like forgot he was on a podcast for a hot second.
No, listen, the more that we do this, I've learned that like there was even an episode, and I don't know how you and I both missed it. There was an episode we recorded a couple weeks back where I went and I was like, and then there was a long pause and I realized that I was making a face to you.
Yes.
Not like I wasn't. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. Absolutely.
People were like, what was he like? What? But I didn't even say. But
we should do a recording on Zoom sometime for
I think
as a
that
prize
would be
for some
amazing.
listeners.
Yes.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Or maybe we'll make that a Patreon exclusive.
Tweedles, let us know. Is that something you would be interested in?
Yes.
It's a mess. Gosh. I'll let you know.
I know. You guys would get some behind the scenes tea like no other.
We would lose listeners. They'd be like, this is how it works? Absolutely not.
It would be like, it was actually just Kale getting up every 10 minutes to pee.
Fact.
Okay. Can I kick us off with I'm celebrating?
I wish you would.
Perfect. At Tracy M91, arriving at Pop on Sunday. Can't wait.
Ooh, very exciting. So that's the day this episode releases. You'll be listening to your name here on the podcast.
We're doing it in your honor.
We're doing it in your honor. I love Pop Century. It's just like a little.
I've actually never stayed there, but most people that I know that have stayed there have always really liked it.
It's a basic hotel, but like it's right there on the Skyliner. It's in between all of the park. It's just a great location for the what is it called? The economy price or whatever it is. I like it. I like staying there. So good for you, Tracy M91. Moving on, we have one of our favorites at the Disney Parks, Teacher. celebrating highest third grade reading scores in the region.
I am not shocked. I am not shocked.
Not at all. Question,
Go
though, follow
Jeff.
up. What's wrong with the second graders and fourth graders? Why aren't they the highest as well? Why are the third graders so good?
I don't know. I think because like it's third grade is better than second grade when you don't know like what's going on, and then fourth grade is like crazy with all the politics and mind games
and hormones.
Yeah, and so
mind games. You were the worst fourth grader ever.
I was the worst.
I was gaslighting people left and right. I was
just the worst grader. There was no specific one year. That's not true. Seventh grade, but we'll get into that. Other time. At Old Man Trekking, the loss of 53 pounds. Congratulations, unless your starting weight was 54 pounds. Please go to a doctor
In which
immediately.
Case,
yes.
Fair enough. No, congratulations. That is
that's
joke.
amazing.
53.
Yes, good for you.
Well done. Moving on, we have at Traveling Theater Nerd celebrating I'm on a trip to New York City, and we'll see a few shows, including Merrily We Roll Along.
So jealous.
Yeah,
jealous.
Well done. So that means you are a millionaire, because aren't those tickets like $700 a ticket?
I think that they're crazy. And I was in New York 2 weeks ago on a work trip, like I said, and I wanted to either see like Sweeney Todd or Merrily We Roll Along or something, and everybody collectively wanted to see Wicked, which is always a good watch, but it was like my 17th time seeing it.
Yeah.
But fun fact, I learned later. So we had gone. Me and like my work colleagues had gone to dinner at Sardi's prior to going to see Wicked, and apparently. For a small fraction while we were there, Daniel Radcliffe was there. We did not see him. I did not lay eyes on him. I just like read about that later. So, yeah.
Congratulations. I don't know how to respond to that.
It was. I mean, I'm a changed person. At ADV Parker, doing my first solo trip to Orlando next week. I fly down on the 19th.
Have
Nice.
so much fun. I love solo trips. I think they're not for everybody. I will say that. Like if that's not up your alley to do something by yourself, but I implore you, if you are able to do so, go on a solo trip to Disney. It's more fun than you think it's going to be.
I love a solo trip as well. Weirdly, a Disney park, I don't know if it would be my gig.
Yeah, I was nervous at first. I was like, what am I going to do? But then I was like, oh, this is unexpected. I'm doing all the things that I want to do and not asking anyone for permission. If I decided
to go do a solo gig, though, would you go with me for support?
I would go on a tandem solo trip, but we could walk near each other, but not next to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
No words.
That sounds good. Okay.
Great. I'll even text you while I'm standing next to you. Perfect. Moving on, we have at Hibdon Day celebrating Taylor Swift's new album announcement. Don't open that can.
Aren't you all? Aren't you all? I know. I am. So I do enjoy Taylor Swift, but I'm not a diehard fan like JT and Ryan. But I love when the three of us gang up on you in the when
you Taylor Swift at me.
Yes, it's my favorite thing. But let me tell you, last time you held your own, you prepared for that to happen and had Minnie in your back pocket.
Listen, I'm not unaware of who Taylor Swift is or her songs, but yeah, it's we've already talked about it for far too long. Let's move on to the next one.
Okay. At Irving.Virgin, my 35th birthday at Disneyland.
Ooh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Congratulations. Irving is a staple in our happiest hours on Zoom.
Yes, always. And always a joy.
Thank you. Question, Irving. Are you celebrating your 35th birthday, or is this the 35th time you're celebrating your birthday
at Disneyland? Yeah. Let us know.
We need context. Moving on, we have local celebrity at Steve Achu celebrating we Northern Hemisphere folks got through the shortest days of the year. We did. We sure did.
Yes.
At Steve Achu. It's now Febachu right now for Steve Achu.
It is Febachu. Yes.
Man, January. I felt every day of January.
Listen, January looked us in the face and said, y'all about to feel every day of me. That's literally what happened. They said this ain't December. She said this ain't
February,
December.
Yeah, February isn't much better than January so far. I'll have you know, and it's an extra day this year, just because that's how life works.
Of course, no, but no kidding. Like I feel like the literal date was like January 21st that I woke up and I was like, there's there's only been 21 days in January so far.
Certainly this is January 41st right now.
It was absolutely insane.
That's right. Well, thank you at Steveachu. I hope that you're going to be celebrating Leapachu year as well.
Yeah, that's right. Leap year Achu. Yes.
And thank you to all of our listeners for sending in your celebrations. We love you.
We love you, Achu.
All right, Kale, are you ready for your daily quiz?
I'm ready for my daily quiz. I'm ready for my first question.
Here we are with This Week in Disney History. Kale, 55 years ago, on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1969, one of the most famous Disney songs was recorded at Walt Disney Productions. The recording session included Jay Meyer, Bob Ebright, Chuck Schroeder, Vern Rowe, and Thurl Ravenscroft. What song am I talking about?
Give me the year one more time.
February 14th, 1969.
Oh.
Do you need hints?
I do need hints.
Okay, so 1 week later, after the recording session, these 5 men would return for a filming session of their section of this song. So it's sort of a looped song where many people were involved.
I want to say that Is it Grim Grinning Ghost?
It is Grim Grinning Ghost.
Oh my God! I'm not even gonna lie. I was not super confident in that. Let me tell you why. Only because, like, when you named the people, only because 1969 sounds late for that for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I mean, it's not as old of an attraction as we.
I guess it sure isn't. That's funny. Because I in my head, I guess just because it is such a staple at this point, I always think of it as like an opening day attraction, but it absolutely, it famously was not. Do you remember they even had the mansion and people were like, what's going on with this for like a long time? Yeah. But, okay. Grim Grinning Ghost is a bop, by the way.
It's a great song. It's a great song. And actually, it's one of those songs that when it's covered by some artist, it actually sounds good still.
It does sound good. And the brief part in it where the female vocalist is doing when the tombstones it work.
I like that. Yeah.
Work. Yes. If I ever did drag, it would just be me doing that one part of Grim Grinning Ghost.
Into it. We want to see it. We want
in like a can outfit or something. I don't know.
I like it. Into that very much. All right. Moving on to the second piece of This Week in Disney History. On February 16th, 1989, Kale, so 35 years ago, this actress was born in Los Angeles, California. Do you know who? I'm just kidding. She first appeared in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and would go on to become one of the biggest names in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do you know who I'm talking about yet?
Say the year one more time.
1989.
Is it Brie Larson?
It is not Brie Larson. She also appeared in The Age of Ultron, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and The Multiverse of Madness.
You know, I have seen none of those.
Screaming at you right now.
I really don't. 89. That would be she's my age.
She also starred in my favorite Marvel adaptation, WandaVision.
Oh, Elizabeth Olsen.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. If you would have started with WandaVision,
well,
I would have got it.
Yeah, it gets easier and easier. Yeah. My next clue is going to be she's not a twin, as well.
That would have definitely given it away. No, I haven't seen. Here's the thing. I've seen most of them. Like the boys have forced me to sit down and watch most of them. I couldn't tell you what the title of one of them is called.
Fair.
Because at some point when they all started crossing over, I would literally look at them and I'd be like, wait, are we watching Thor or Iron Man? Is this Hulk or is this
right? Who's starring in this movie?
Right. Yeah. I don't. Just give me the name. But yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen, one of my favorites, and the Scarlet Witch is one of my favorite characters in any franchise movie.
Yeah.
I think she's amazing.
I love the Hulk, I think, the most.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You're maybe one of one, I think. Who
just as the character, just because I feel like I understand him and he's yes. And yeah. That would be me.
I've seen you Hulk out before.
That's gonna be the Hulk. That's
the Hulk.
I don't know why that tickled me.
Kale
I'm
Hulk.
sorry. The Hulk. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. The Hulk.
Not into it.
Smelled by Hulk. No.
Gross.
Skulk by Hulk.
It just doesn't sound. It just sounds gross. It sounds like one of those words that makes people cringe.
It sounds like the sound your throat makes when you swallow milk.
Hulk. Gross. Oh, Elizabeth Olsen, just like the the multiverse of madness for doing you wrong by making you in the same sentence of Hulk. Not into it, but happy birthday nonetheless. I know you're listening, Elizabeth
Yes,
Olsen.
happy birthday. Like your candy bars, you're completely nuts.
Wow. And that was This Week in Disney History, everybody.
Thank you so much.
What to do with that information. The only thing we can do is move to the news, I guess.
Let's go to news.
Kale, are you ready for some news?
News, talking about news.
That's right. We are talking about news, and my first story bleeds into your story. So I'll start with that one. Let's get into it. So at this past week's quarterly earnings report, Disney announced a slew of official opening dates for their parks and experiences, including, and I should say when they say official opening dates, I mean some of them are just months and some of them are just seasons, but some of them are actual dates. So Fantasy Springs in Tokyo Disney will open on June 6th, 2024.
Work.
Disney Vacation Club Cabins at Fort Wilderness Resort in Walt Disney World will open on July 1st, 2024. Disney Treasures Maiden Voyage will be on December 21st, 2024. Tiana's Bayou Adventure in both Walt Disney World and Disneyland will open in 2024, but like I said, no official date yet, which they usually do to increase, like they announce it later to increase ticket prices when it's a little bit lower in attendance.
They absolutely do.
So who can say? Country Bear Musical Jamboree in Walt Disney World will reopen this summer, 2024. I'm actually really excited about that one. I'm interested to see what it's going to be. Yeah.
Very much so. Same.
Let's see. The Little Mermaid, a musical adventure in Walt Disney World's Hollywood Studios, will open this fall, 2024. And Story Living. Everybody remember Story Living when that story broke? Like, it seems like 45 years ago.
Yes.
Will welcome its first residents in 2025. Are you going to be one of their first residents, Kale?
I hope so.
Okay, good. Me too.
I would love to be. I also have to say that this is, as much as I'm excited about the Little Mermaid musical adventure, I have to say that I have always had a soft spot for Country Bear Jamboree as well.
Same.
To me, it's the perfect place to, I would prefer that probably over PhilharMagic, which I know is controversial.
Interesting. Interesting. I think they're both so different. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I can't.
No, yeah, you can't. No, you really can't. They are very different. But I would say, if I'm looking to, sit down and, watch something to sort of get out of the heat for a minute, take a breather, I would prefer Country Bear Jamboree.
Well, here's my hope with Country Bear Jamboree is that they keep the subversiveness involved with it a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it was it was just like, what am I watching right now? This is dark and a little sexual. You know what I mean? It was like, what's happening? What's happening here? So I hope that they keep a hint of that just to, I don't know.
Very much so.
Extend the magic of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so anyway, this was just a small drop in the bucket for what can be expected over the next decade or so at Disney, because at this earnings call, both Bob Iger and the new CFO, Hugh Johnston, talked about untapped potential in the parks and beyond, and announced that Disney would be investing roughly $60 billion into the company over the next 10 years, with 70% of that earmarked for incremental capacity in parks and experiences around the world. So it sounds like major news is coming for Disney experiences.
Yes.
Very exciting.
And I'm super excited. And that leads us into my news story.
It's
Are
like
you
I
ready?
teed it up for you.
I know. Iger may have hinted at a fifth Disney World park. Disney has announced a $60 billion investment for the next 10 years to grow their company in their experiences business.
I wonder if someone just said that on this same podcast.
You did. During a live conference call on February 7th, the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, Bob Iger, was asked a question regarding a fifth Disney World park in Orlando. We're already hard at work, basically determining where we're going to place our new investments and what they will be, Iger said. you can pretty much conclude that they will be all over, meaning every single one of our locations will be the beneficiary of increased investment and thus increased capacity, including on the high seas, Iger said of the Disney's theme park and their cruise line around the world. Iger also announced that the company is building 3 more cruise ships. While Iger did not confirm a 5th park in Orlando, he did say that Disney has a menu of things happening in 2025. While park attendance throughout 2023 was down, Disney Cruise Line revenue was at an all-time high.
So interesting that park attendance went down, yet all of the parks had increased revenue over the past year.
Completely. Let me tell you, I'm a diehard Disney person, but I do have to say, part of me wonders how they were tracking the attendance at the parks, because every time that I went to a park in 2023, it did not seem like attendance was down.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that I've seen, and this makes me happy because I love a Disney cruise, but I will say that it makes sense to me that Disney Cruise Line revenue was at an all-time high last year, because everybody I know just about was on a Disney cruise at some point like last year.
Yeah.
However, it makes me wonder, are they using the attendance for Disney cruises and comparing that to Disney parks and saying, oh, park attendance is down, but really it's not.
Yeah.
It's just that the cruise line attendance was higher.
Yeah, I don't know how they use their measurements, and they'll never let us.
I know they never will. But I'm calling BS on the park attendance being down. I'm sorry. If I have to wait 2 hours to ride Soarin', park attendance ain't down.
Fair enough. In any case, I feel like these announcements already with the quarterly earnings leads me to believe that this year D23 is going to have enormous announcements.
For sure. I think so too.
Yeah, very exciting. I wish I could be there. I can't go this year, so we'll have to send one of us there.
I'll be there. I'm speaking.
Back. Great.
Yeah, they reached out to me and they were like, hey, we're trying to find Patrick Kozaki's contact information. We want him to speak at D23. And I said, this is Patrick Kozaki.
Yep, that tracks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That absolutely tracks. Okay, so moving on, Kale, we have one of my favorite stories in that the Disneyland Hotel at Disneyland Paris has now reopened. And with that reopening, a very special guest was welcomed as the first person to step foot inside the newly refurbished hotel. In partnership with Make-A-Wish, 5-year-old Marie's wish was to become a princess. Her wish was granted with a royal invitation to become the guest of honor at the opening of the Disneyland Paris Hotel. I'm not going to cry, but I already am a little bit. Upon the opening of the hotel, Marie was welcomed by Mickey Mouse himself and the hotel cast members in the lobby and brought to her royal suite themed to Elsa's Ice Palace on the North Mountain. Oh. There, she was given a royal makeover, complete with a new tiara, and was then met by Queen Elsa herself in the suite.
Oh my goodness.
I know. Next, Marie got to explore the hotel where she met more Disney princesses like Snow White and Princess Aurora. After this, she made her way to the park where she got to tour Sleeping Beauty Castle and look over the park from the balcony, and finished her day exploring the park and meeting as many princesses as possible. As I mentioned, this unique experience for Marie was all in partnership with Disney and Make-A-Wish. To date, they have granted more than 150,000 wishes to children facing critical illnesses. To learn more, visit worldwish.org/Disney. What a story. I love when we can report on stuff like this. It's amazing.
I know. It does. It makes me happy as well.
And Disney doesn't often toot their own horn with stuff like this. You know what I mean? I mean, they'll put it out there because it's a really beautiful moment. But so many wishes have been granted by Disney, and just changing people's lives for the better. It's amazing.
Very much so. I'm glad we decided to go with that one instead of Gina Carano suing Disney over her Mandalorian firing, with Elon Musk funding the lawsuit. Because we were at a toss up, We were like, which one of these?
What do I do? Which one?
I know, but that is also crazy. But we don't have a talk. I know that is crazy.
It is also crazy. It is a story, but we both were like, nah. Yeah.
So, Patrick.
Yes.
Have you watched any groundbreaking films lately?
I truly haven't. I can honestly say that I haven't.
Same. Yes. So,
I actually do think that this movie, like, I'm so much more impressed by this movie than I thought it was going to be.
Same. So a lot of people probably saw Patrick's Instagram post where he was putting quotes from us on it. I literally did at one point text him and say, "This is garbage, but I'm not miserable in the slightest." Like, I could not look away. There were parts of it where I was just like, what is happening? I couldn't blink. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Yes. So we are talking about the underground guerrilla film Escape from Tomorrow.
Escape from Tomorrow, which I actually really love the title too. Like, this, I don't know how to talk about this movie in that
same.
I don't know what did I love it? Is this my favorite movie? Or is it so bad that it's good? I don't understand. I'm
either,
so confused.
But where I am right now is I need for people that I know to watch it. Like, I need to sit down with Mark and Roger and be like, hey, just sit down. Hear me out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm not expecting them to give like a scholarly review of it or anything. No. But I do feel like I need to tell people about it.
Right. Because in reality, I think like 11 people have seen this movie. But
absolutely. And it's funny because like occasionally, like, I'll talk to somebody. So backstory.
Yes.
I think we figured out that Roger's the one that originally told me about this, but I think he heard, because you and Adam did briefly mention this film on the podcast a couple years back, right?
We had, yeah.
But neither one of you had seen it, or...
I think like we both of us tried to watch it, and then we're like, I'm not in the mood to watch this right now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's a heavy watch.
Decide. Yeah, and we couldn't decide because it's technically not a Disney movie, right?
No, it is not a Disney movie.
We don't really do on the we kind of only talk about things that are Disney, but it very much is a Disney movie in that the majority of this film was filmed inside of a Disney park and or hotel without Disney ever knowing about it. If you don't know anything about this movie, this is what you've probably heard about this before, that somebody shot a movie in Disney and they never knew about it. And it's true. Like, they shot almost the entire film inside the parks with Disney never knowing that they were doing it.
Yes, absolutely. So they would so a little bit of pre-production history. The cast and crew bought season passes to Disneyland and Disney World.
Yes.
And they would go in 2 at a time with full video equipment, camera equipment, everything. And then,
well, not full. I mean, they were just actually using like regular Canon, whatever they are. Like the cameras that everyone kind of has already, right? It's not that they were bringing in boom microphones or things like that. They were really sneaking stuff into the parks.
But they had to bring in like at least like body mics. That's a thing that they had to, I mean...
They did. So they had body mics on, like all of the cast was strapped with these microphones on their bodies, and they were recording the entire day. So they never like turned on and off because that would look suspicious. So, I mean, they called it guerrilla filmmaking, basically. And it's true. They had no equipment other than handheld cameras and body mics.
Okay. So, should I get into the IMDb plot?
Yes, let's tell everyone what this movie is sort of about.
Okay. In this black comedy, which is false, by the way, there's nothing that is supposed to be comedic about this film. In this black comedy, Jim is an unsatisfied middle-aged man. Okay, relatable.
True.
On vacation with his family at Disney World. While his family frolics through the park and is enthralled with the sights and sound of Disney, Jim finds himself inexplicably obsessed with 2 French teenage girls. Yeah, creep alert.
Problematic.
Right? Yes. The park environment soon turns to something more sinister as Jim uncovers its secrets. Jim must protect his adventurous kids, placate his suspicious wife, and defend himself against the happiest place on earth.
I mean, that's a pretty accurate...
Yeah, it is. It's not a black comedy, but everything else is dead on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it was trying to be a comedy, like, it failed that mission.
Absolutely.
It was just more sinister than anything else, this entire movie. And it I don't know, like, it made me anyways, like, think about what story they're telling and, like, sort of the hidden messages
very
beneath
much
it all. But it just was... So... Here's the thing. So it was directed and written by a man named Randy Moore, which this is his only credit, basically. Like he only did this movie.
It is his only credit, and he was inspired to do this because him and his family used to frequently visit Disney parks when he was a child. And so I do not know like how that turned into this form of storytelling.
Yeah.
But
I think so, like, early on, his parents also got divorced, so I did a little bit of research on, like, why did he even make this movie and what was it inspired by? And so later on in life, when he got married and had kids, and he started bringing his kids to the parks, it sort of uncovered all these hidden emotions that he had about his trauma behind his parents being divorced, and sort of recognizing, and this is where it actually gets a little deep for me, recognizing that, like, though you're in the happiest place on earth, which is what they call it, like, life is still happening. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, people are still in unhappy marriages. People are still losing their jobs. People are, you know, like, life outside the Disney bubble is still happening, yet you're in Disney. So how do you sort of suppress those feelings, and then how do they bubble up as well? Like, it's a really interesting thing to discover within this movie, if that makes sense.
Oh no, completely, yes. And I think that there's also, even I know I'm like probably reading too much into this too soon. I think that there's even something to be said with, I mean, obviously that I don't like the fact that he was obsessed with the French teenage girls. Right. Yeah. But I think in a way it's somewhat supposed to be a metaphor for, like, when you're a kid at a Disney park and you want something you can't have. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, but I mean, it's still gross, right? He still deserves to sort of, you know, get punched in the face.
Yeah.
But so this film was nominated for a 2013 Sundance Audience Award.
It sure was.
It was a personal pick from Roger Ebert.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
Yeah.
Roger Ebert picked it and put it in his film festival that he has every year. Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, I guess you have to... Here's the thing, and you and I were even talking about this, and again, stop me if I'm getting, like, completely ahead of myself. No. But you and I have even said, the way that they pulled this off, I have to give them a round of applause.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, when we... I knew the concept of this going in, like how it was recorded and how Disney never pursued legal action or anything because they knew that they really couldn't, right? Because all of it was sort of, you know, public. You know, we're allowed to film in Disney World. We're allowed to... Right. But I think that... I mean, it was a full film that was filmed inside the parks without anybody knowing. And I said this to you when we were watching it, like, I wonder how many times they see, like, just random park goers or cast members looking at the camera trying to figure out what's going on. And that was not a problem. At no point, weirdly, in this movie did you see like another guest or like a cast member like looking at the camera being like, what's going on over there? And that to me is, how did they pull this off?
Yeah, but, I mean, so as I said before, like they used this basic, and you've seen these cameras before, Canon, I think EOS 5D Mark II cameras. Basically, if you have a vlog, you probably are using a camera something similar to that. And so, you know, people are filming in the parks all the time, like you said, and they're you know, making money off of it too by becoming these YouTube celebrities, basically. And so this is sort of like, this got ahead of all of that, and they
absolutely
filmed an actual movie in the parks, and which was incredible. Going into it, I thought that this movie, I was like, oh, they probably like used footage like a YouTuber does of them going on a ride or of and then filmed a movie outside of the parks and then used footage in it. No. They filmed the whole movie in the parks.
There are arguments between a husband and a wife happening in front of Cinderella Castle, and then and then my favorite part though is, keep in mind, I've never been to Disneyland, but obviously you can see the difference between the two, and so there were certain scenes even where the husband and wife would be talking, and when it would show the wife, it would be Disneyland, and they would show the husband, and it would be Disney World. And I know that drove you crazy.
Drove me crazy.
You were like, where are we?
Yeah. They do a good job of marrying the two, that if you didn't really know the difference, you wouldn't have known that they were in two different parks sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was kind of genius that they did film in two parks. I think that they realized ahead of time that there's no way that they could go into the parks, 25 days in a row with the same outfits on, filming a movie and not catch on to it. So they they split it up that way in that they shot a lot of scenes in Disneyland and then they went to Disney World and shot the rest of the scenes. And so, I mean, I have to say it was really successful in the way that they pulled this off.
Very much so. I still don't know how they did it, but
so many things. There's a really beautiful scene, actually. It was beautifully shot, is what I mean to say. And on the People Mover, where the two groups of characters sort of pass each other on the two different tracks. And they had to, I was reading about it, and they had to go on that ride for several hours in a row and just keep riding it, basically, to get that shot exactly right. Because it's a really well done shot. It's really crazy.
And you're right. What are the chances that the way that they would be randomly sat on the ride without asking would be the carts passing each other?
Crazy.
Like that's nuts. Okay,
it's remarkable.
Yes. So as you said, it was written by Randy Moore. Mm-hmm. Which is his only writing credit. It was also directed by Randy Moore, again, his only directing credit. And it was also directed by Ben Wheatley, who is known for Meg 2, The Trench, High Rise, and 2 episodes of Doctor Who.
So, not a lot of credits, not great credits, but he is the director. So there you go.
He is the director. Do we want to get into the star-studded cast?
Sure.
Okay. So Roy Orbison as Jim, known for Searching, Dying to Sleep, and Missing. Elena Schubert as Emily, known for Driving to Zigzag Land and Secret Agent. Caitlin Rodriguez and Jack Dalton as Sarah and Elliot, which are the children. Correct.
The kids. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Emily's the wife and Jim is the main character, the husband.
Yes. Danielle Safdie as Sophie, one of the teenage French girls. Correct.
The younger of the two. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Gosh. Boy. Annette Mahendru as Isabel, known for The Americans as Nina Krylova.
Nina Krylova. Yeah. So she's actually somebody who was in the TV show The Americans, I think, through the entire series, basically.
Oh. Look at us discovering, folks.
We sure did.
Yes. Yeah. And then also The Walking Dead World Beyond. Amy Lucas as the nurse, which was the character they would probably make me play. And Allison Lease Taylor as the other woman.
Which is I wonder why they called her the other one. So this is one of the main characters as well. This woman who was very creepy and had a horrific wig on.
Oh my God, the wig. Listen, this is terrible. The second they showed her, Patrick and I both texted each other, just wig. Yes, I know. Yes. I know. It was less than Shake and Go. I don't even know what's lower than Shake and Go, but it was just... It was not even shake and go. It was just like plop and stop. I don't know.
That wig never had a drink of water in its entire life.
In its entire life. No.
I have to say, the nurse character, though, I know that we're joking about it, but like that was such an interesting scene to me. Like I almost was like, give this woman an award for playing this nurse, because I wanted more from the character. She just played this really melancholy nurse who had a secret, basically, and
she wasn't happy with it. It was like she was the sort of the one character that you kind of got the vibe of, like, she knows what's going on and she's not proud to be a part of this.
No,
do you know what I mean?
She's being forced to work in Disney or something. It was wild.
Exactly. Yes. Oh yeah. Gosh, I almost wish that we were not making this spoiler free, because there's so much that I just want to scream at the top of my lungs.
But it's been out since 2013, so I don't. I mean, we can talk about some things. I don't think people aren't probably going to watch this movie.
Okay. What if this movie becomes like an overnight hit, and then
we're responsible for it?
We're responsible.
How did they do it?
I know. Yes. So, as we said, Randy Moore. I love that in the screen, the episode notes, under history of film, Patrick Kozicki has put how the F word did this get made.
Which I think this is a movie in itself. I feel like the documentary of filming this movie, I think, is such an interesting. Like, I wish that he would come out and do a big interview or something.
Same.
Maybe we should contact him.
Well, it's like you said too, because of, oh my gosh, we should absolutely contact him and have him on the pod, or like for a Patreon episode.
Right.
Why didn't we think about doing that? Gosh,
there's still time. We're still alive.
There is. This is true. So, as you said, Randy Moore grew up going to the parks with his dad more frequently after his parents' divorce. After he was married, he moved to California and started taking his kids to Disneyland, which brought up a lot of memories of unresolved issues from his parents' divorce. He wrote the screenplay for Escape Tomorrow and used an inheritance from his grandparents to fund the bulk of the film's budget, which is estimated to be around $650,000.
Which is crazy. But I think most of that money went into editing.
It had to have. Yeah.
Right? So we already talked sort of about like how it was filmed and the things that they were doing. But what we didn't talk about yet is, so when they edited this film, because they shot it on these handheld cameras, a couple of them.
Right.
And the whole cast was recording themselves all day long. The editors then had to go in and take this 24 hours of like them being in the parks and sync it up to the cameras that they were filming on, because they obviously weren't using sound from the cameras and blah, blah. I can't imagine how long that took.
No, at all.
I mean, editing this podcast takes a long time.
No,
I can't imagine doing what they did with it. And it worked really well. Like, it was never out of sync.
No, completely. I would actually say, like, as far as cinematography goes, I could also give it a round of applause for that. Just considering knowing what little resources they had. They did an incredible job. Also, that's even more of a reason why they should make a documentary about it. Think about the footage that they have.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to just, miles and piles, but...
Right.
Yes, absolutely crazy. Rehearsing for many of the scenes took place in hotel rooms before entering the park to shoot, which makes sense, right? And so, in order to keep this entire project secret, the cast and crew were asked not to talk to anybody about what they were doing, and more edited this film in, wait for it, South Korea.
They were so paranoid that Disney was going to come for them. Like, they were basically putting it all on the line. Because, I mean, if they were caught, they could have been, I guess at worst, they were going to get kicked out of the park forever, I suppose, right? And then the movie wouldn't have been made. But, I mean, Disney could have come after them legally if they knew what they were doing at the time, I think. Now that it's already done, it all falls under, like, this, what's it called under the law? Free use footage, I think, that you're allowed to.
Here's the thing. I also don't think, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually don't think that Disney, there's a whole lot that Disney could have done anyway, because I think that, like, any type of, so for example, there's a scene where they're riding like a very famous ride at both parks that has a very famous song that we all know. It gets stuck in our head every time we go, right? And so you see them on this ride, but they change the song in the film, right? Because there probably are rights to that song not being able to be shared.
I like that you're dancing around it as though we're going to get sued for saying it's a small world.
Right. So yes. So they write It's a Small World, which is there are some special effects in the It's a Small World sequence that are actually really, really terrifying.
Oh yeah. So he like starts to lose his mind in the movie, and they split like the characters in It's Small World and put like demon faces on them.
Yes.
Which is terrifying.
It was terrifying. But so I think that there are little things like that Disney could have potentially been like, hey, guess what? You can't use this music. But they had thought about that because obviously the song's not in the film. It's somehow even a worse song, which is unimaginable. But
yeah, they hired a composer actually to do all of the background music because they removed obviously all of the background
everything.
Music. Which is one thing that you would know if you watch the YouTubers, when they film a Disney ride, they can't use the music. Otherwise, Disney will actually take that down. That's the one thing that they care about really for copyright, I think, is the songs themselves. But
absolutely.
Everything else in the park apparently falls under this free use that you are allowed to use footage and make a commentary on Disney, and that's how they get around it. By not getting sued. So it's fascinating. This movie is fascinating, more so in the how did it get made aspect, I feel.
No, absolutely. My anxiety couldn't do it. If they were like we're gonna mic you up, just sort of look cool, I'd be like, okay. You know what I mean?
Is this how I walk? Is this how I do it?
Where are my hands normally? Where do they, you know? But so even Sundance was worried that Disney was gonna pull this film, so they didn't release any press of it until it was actually screened. Disney, of course, does know about the film, but has never pursued removing it from which by removing it, you and I watched this film for free on YouTube because it's the only
you can
place
find it out there.
Right. And that's not, I don't think it's illegally put on YouTube. I think that is how it is meant to be watched. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but yes. So should we break down the story a tiny bit more?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so Dim, Daddy Jim. So Daddy Jim is at the park where there's miraculously a 3-hour wait for the Buzz Lightyear ride, which is probably the most unbelievable part of the entire film.
Very much. I think I texted you during that. I was like, now they lost me because there's never a wait for Buzz Lightyear.
Lost the plot. Yes. But as you can kind of see, like you sort of witness Jim and his wife, they're not on the best of terms. There might be, a little bit of cause for some couples counseling. Jim does sort of become obsessed with 2 young French girls and very creepily is following them around the park because he is mesmerized by them.
It's true. And we've learned at the very first scene that he has just been let go from his job as well. So he's sort of like unraveling as the day goes on.
Completely unhinged.
Yeah,
yes.
It's wild. Things quickly go off the tracks, basically, where he has accidentally an affair with somebody and his child gets kidnapped at one point. This movie is wild.
This movie is insane. I wouldn't even say he accidentally has an affair. I would actually say she R-worded him.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, she does. So a character in the movie you think is maybe a witch or something because she has this crystal
bad
that
wig
he becomes obsessed with. A really bad wig. Yeah. Things go south very quickly for Jim. What's interesting about the film is that you start to, as a viewer, go, Am I crazy? Am I the one who's crazy in this?
Legit.
Am I a character? Yeah.
Legit. Like, and there are certain times where it's like, you're kind of like, okay, the wife is like really nagging. And then like here he is following these two, and you're like, no, they're both horrid. Do you know what I mean? Like
there's not a likable character in the entire movie.
There is not a likable character.
Except
so I will,
nurse,
yes.
Maybe.
So after the affair or R wording, whatever, however you want to refer to it.
Sure.
The character of the other woman does reveal 2 groundbreaking pieces of information. Number 1, the turkey legs are really emu meat.
So weird.
Yes. And second, that the princesses at Disney parks are actually part of an underground brothel for rich Asian men. That is not a quote from me. That is a quote from the film. Right.
Problematic.
Yes.
So here's the thing, though. They did their research in that those were 2 sort of urban legends around the Disney parks that are, known to be false, obviously.
Right.
But
yes,
so funny that they used... There's like little hidden gems that like super fans of Disney would go, oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's from
completely.
This and that's from this.
Yes.
She even, while they're having relations on the bed, I don't know if you caught this, she says at one point, this is horrific, if there are kids in the room, get them out of the room. She said, oh, you found my hidden Mickey.
I'm so glad that you said it. I'm so glad because I almost texted it to you because it's if you like zone out for 1 second, you miss it. But that is exactly what she said. You found my hidden Mickey, and I was like, wow. I mean, gosh.
There's then a plot about cat flu, which is referenced in our episode very early on.
Oh boy,
Which again, another kind of funny underground Disney thing that Disney does actually have like cat feedings because there are so many cats in the park that are there to get rid of the mice, which is so ironic that the whole park is run by a mouse and the cat flew and cats, and it's boy oh boy, what an odd movie. So break it down for me, for you, because this is how we do all movies, I guess. Like that's considered an actual review. What did you think about? Like, did you like this movie? Would you recommend it to people? Are you glad you watched it? If you even if you didn't have a Disney podcast, would it be something interesting to watch?
I absolutely think so. I think anybody who, so not even from a Disney fan perspective, I think anybody who is into filmmaking or finds it, I'm not into filmmaking. I don't have a desire to make a film, but I find filmmaking very intriguing, right? And so I would say just for the simple basis of that, absolutely watch it. And then also if you're a Disney fan, by all means, I think it would be a good watch. This is not a film that you're going to walk away from and go, that changed my life. Not for, but it's like, it is an amazing conversation piece, right? Yeah. I definitely want Mark and Roger to see it just so we can talk about it. I would definitely watch it again, even though I I don't have a reason to. That's kind of why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also will say, and you and I typically when we do these film reviews, because you and I can talk about something for 3 hours, we try to limit what we say, right? Because we want to save it for the podcast. But we did briefly after. You made a really good point that was like, they had such a solid plot right in front of them that could have actually have really gone like deep, and it almost would have made you been like, whoa. And then for some reason they completely in like a split second went down a completely other direction, which I'm still not sure whose idea that was. I mean I guess Randy Moore. But that's really the only thing that I would say, like, they really lost the plot there. Because to me, the concept, while I don't believe it, and while I do know it's all problematic, if you were wanting a solid plot, the plot of the princesses sort of being captive, like women in an underground brothel, sold. Yeah. I'm sold. Let's get them out of there. Let's save the princesses, right?
Right.
But it's like, They had that whole sort of storyline going, and then it never went anywhere. Like all of a sudden, the real plot twist was completely unrelated. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I think this movie, I guess, didn't have the luxury of a larger crew, right? It was basically just two men who wrote and directed this. So they didn't really have anyone checking and going, hey, what if we edit it this way? Or what if we change the plotline this way a little bit? It just it almost felt like a school project, basically, in the way it was written. But the way it was filmed was so fascinating. And they didn't have the luxury of like pivoting. Like they had basically 15 days that they were allotted to film in the Disney parks. They had to be secretively filming in the parks, so they couldn't really like redo things and think about different things. Like in fact, when they were setting up all the pre-production, they spent days in the parks just understanding where the sun was, because they didn't have lighting either. They had to use the sun and the actual lights in the park as their lighting, and so like they just didn't have any freedom to make a better movie. That being said, I do feel like they made a pretty solid movie.
I
for
agree.
Underground filming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, completely. I would even say, because at one point you even said, "What in the Blair Witch?" Right? I would even say that there were parts of it that were on par with the Blair Witch Project.
I almost wish that this had gone full horror. Like make a horror movie in the parks. Well, that would have been so much more successful.
Same. And I think that you and I both, specifically during the scene of where they're on It's a Small World, I was expecting it to go there really quickly. Like I was like, this is they are going full horror. To me that would have made it somewhat but now, having said that, I love a psychological thriller, because most of the time I look at the main character and I'm like, same. I get it, you know. But I think that they were, I mean, and I guess they probably were a little bit limited, you know, trying to keep this under wraps, trying to do this in broad daylight at the two most public places in the entire world.
Right.
And so I do think that it would have been a far more solid film had they gone full horror.
Right. And then that being said, like, we're armchair experts on this, right? Like,
exactly.
I could not have done any better.
Or
as good,
absolutely
even.
Not. No,
with any of my skill. Like they did a really good job.
Oh, completely. I would not have successfully lasted a day on this project. I'm not kidding. Like someone would have walked up and been like, "How's it going?" I'd be like, "Not shooting a film." You know, like.
I'm certainly not filming an underground movie in the parks.
Right,
why would you think that? Yeah.
Have a magical day. Yeah.
So weird. So weird. Okay, so clearly this film, I think I can speak for both of us, on an inclusivity and LGBT scale, 0 out of 5 stars, right? Like they just didn't consider that. It wasn't something that they were aiming for in any stretch of the imagination, right?
No, not whatsoever.
So then that being said, out of 5 stars, what would you honestly give this movie?
Oh man! I always use this as an example with the Oscars. I always use Romeo and Michelle. This movie is not Romeo and Michelle, but I always say if Romeo and Michelle is on television, right, I'm going to watch it. Sure. However, I do not expect. I said this to a lot of people with Barbie. They're going to come for me, but I also understand why, as much as I love Romeo and Michelle, why it's not an Oscar-winning film.
Sure.
Right?
You're aware of it.
I will say, yes. Yeah. I will say that I do not think that this film is a groundbreaking storytelling sort of masterpiece.
Sure.
I will say that simply because I do think that it brings up a lot of conversation, and you do want to look at people and go, what did you think? Did you see it? Did you see it? I would say 4. I'm being completely serious. I would say like it's about a 4.
I 100% agree with you. I think because I think this film should be taught in film class, right?
Yes!
I really think that what they achieved here with so little resources and just the subversiveness of it all is like, you can make a pretty decent movie for, I mean, $650,000 is not nothing, but given that, like, take the price tag off of it, it's not a $1 billion movie, like which most films are these days.
Completely. And I mean, you like to factor in the $650,000. That's also annual passes for an entire crew and a cast of actors, right?
Yeah.
It's also flights, because it wasn't filmed in just one location, so it's flights either from California to Florida, Florida to California. I mean, a lot of that is stuff that it probably in sort of, I guess, like independent filmmaking are expenses that wouldn't always happen unless you were trying to pull something like this off, right?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And the editing, I'm sure, took a lot of money. And
gosh,
getting him to South Korea to edit it, that seems like when I read that, I was like, is he unhinged as well? Like, why would he?
Oh, I think South that sounds Korea like that. I would have, I'm not kidding. My anxiety, I would have been paranoid. I would have heard like the ice machine in the fridge cut on in the middle of the night and been like, it's Disney. Like, I'm not, like, seriously. I would have been absolutely paranoid. Yeah. But South Korea, I don't know why. But,
Fair. So here's what I want to know from the tweeters. I actually would love, go watch this movie if you have some time, knowing what you know now, what we told you about how they filmed it, and then go watch it and let us know what you think. Because I think that's, like I said it 1,000 times already, that's the interesting part about this movie, is all of the pre-production and how they filmed it. Remove the acting, remove the plot, whatever. Just watch it for it being a film. I think I'm interested to know how impressed some of our tweeters are, or are we unhinged, Kale and I, in thinking that this is a good movie?
I know. I mean, I don't think it's a good movie. But I think it is
it's a worthwhile movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, completely. Yeah. So what I have to ask you, what was your favorite part?
If I'm being really honest, like the nurse scene was my favorite scene, because I was like, oh, this is like interesting filmmaking. This is really cool. And then I think, what was my? I don't know. Oh, the man on the scooter, I think, creeped me out the most.
Oh, so my gosh!
And maybe that's what my favorite part was, because it was so creepy. It was like,
well, and I will say that was when the man on the scooter was creepy. But I also, there was a weird sort of, to me, that's problematic, because obviously people on scooters are not creepy. But I wanted, like, it almost felt like they wanted you to sort of think, that's how people that require scooters in parks to sort of behave, right? And it was sort of like, no, like that's not, like they're actually just there enjoying themselves. But I have to say the part that really like made it to where like, okay, I have to finish this was when they were on It's a Small World, and you just see like all the little toy animatronics like turning into demons. And I was sort of like, this is like, one time I dropped my niece off at school, and the same thing happened to me in the car rider line.
That's horrifying. Yeah, that is horrifying. Yeah, I think our people who have gone to the parks a lot will also, I think, appreciate this film in just the things that are there and the things that are not in the parks anymore that you sort of recognize, and the feelings that they give you when being on like a Disney bus or on the monorail, or it's very familiar in that sense too when you watch the movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I love that in any movie or like a TV show. You know how like in a hit TV show, there's always an episode where they go to Disney World?
Yes.
It's my favorite thing.
Yes. Instead, they just did a whole movie about it this time around. All right. So, Tweedles, go watch Escape from Tomorrow. Let us know what you think. As Kale mentioned, we watched it on YouTube. I assume it's still there, so you can just watch it for free whenever you want to.
Escape from Tomorrow on YouTube.
And we'll be going as some of the characters for Halloween, so stay tuned, everybody.
Yes, I am the other woman.
And I will be the nurse. Hey, Kale.
Hey, Patrick.
Are you ready for some quick tea?
You're supposed to. Are you ready for some quick tea?
Or come over.
Give me the question. I got something to tell you.
Yeah. Amazing. Kale, are you though ready for some quick tea?
I'm ready for quick tea.
Okay, we have two fun questions. One from at AkioPixie319.
Okay.
Saying, set the scene. What's your personal Disney theme song? What Disney character ensemble are you wearing? And what land in any Disney park are you walking through while everyone is staring in awe or cowering in terror, if that's the vibe? I love this question. All right. So, pretend you're just sort of strutting down a Disney park. What's the theme song that's playing while people just lose their minds over you? And what are you wearing? What character are you serving?
Okay, it has to be a Disney song, correct?
I don't think so. I mean, it could be any song that's your Disney. That's your Disney theme song, though.
Okay, then I am ready for this.
Great. What do you have for us?
Okay, so I have always had this personal vision, right?
Okay, great.
I remember when I was 21, I texted my longtime good friend Emily and said to her that I wish I looked the way the song "Angel" by Gavin Friday sounded.
I have no idea what that song is.
Okay, so it's a song. So in the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet,
sure,
it's the song that's playing, I believe, when they're about to start. They're about to go to the ball where Romeo and Juliet meet the first time, right?
Yes.
So I've always imagined one day I'm going to look so fierce that I enter a room and the jukebox by magic has no other option than to play "Angel" by Gavin Friday, simply because I've walked in turning it.
Wonderful.
Okay. Okay. So my Disney ensemble, and this is, it's not Disney related. It's not a Disney outfit. Are you ready for this?
Fascinating. Okay.
It's going to be this Burberry coat from the fall 2012 collection that I've wanted literally since 2012.
Ridiculous.
It's microscopic herringbone tweed. It is the most gorgeous thing in the entire world. I'm going to pair it with a powder blue pant. Okay. A banana yellow glove. So I'm assuming it's dead. It's crazy winter in Florida, unlike Florida has never seen before ever. Right? Then I have on a lavender button down. All right.
Fascinating. Okay.
And then sort of an ankle high brown boot with laces. I'm not a fan of a boot without laces for some reason, right?
Okay.
And then my hair perfectly coiffed. It's a little longer than it is right now. There's a little bit more volume to it, a little bit of bounce. And I'm walking down Main Street and I see none other than Bob Iger, and the rest is history.
Wow. I feel like I just watched Escape from Tomorrow again. I have no idea what just happened. I'm just lost. 100% lost.
So listen, this is proof. I'm actually going to annoy you with this. This is proof. Hold on.
Wow. This is fascinating podcasting. I can't wait to edit absolutely nothing at all. Just dead air.
As you can see, Patrick, I have every issue of September Vogue that ever existed.
My lord.
Yes. So we're going to go to...
Remember when this is called Quick Tea? I don't know if you were...
September 2012. I have it right here. I found it. I have...
No one's listening anymore. You know that, right?
They are listening. No.
Okay.
But you have to explain what I'm about to show you in great detail, okay?
I don't think I will.
You have to, Patrick. Okay, so for those of you at home that just noticed there's probably a great big cut off gap in recording, it is because I went through all of my filed away September Vogue issues and found the picture of this very coat. Now, Patrick, tell the people what has happened at home. I have looked at this page so many times.
It's fallen out of the
It has fallen
magazine.
out of the Vogue. Patrick, I want you to react to this coat live.
Okay. What a nice coat.
Okay,
It's a
nice
great
coat. But can you see me wearing this? And I'm not just saying because the model kind of looks like me, but
Okay. Wow.
Okay, but I'm posting a picture of this, and people are going to vote. Is this model Kale? But look at this coat. Do you see this? This microscopic herringbone tweed, double-breasted. Do you see this right now? Have you seen? There's never been a coat that's more gorgeous than this ever.
Absolutely. Yes.
And imagine it with a banana yellow glove, a lavender button down, and a powder blue pant, and a brown ankle boot. And me walking down Main Street, USA, and people are like, "Who's that girl?" That, you know what I mean?
It's all I can think about now. Really and truly. It's the best. Tweedles at home. I'm so sorry for this quick D. It is wildly out of control.
This is a quick D that spoke to my wheelhouse. Accio Pixie, they get me.
I hope so. I really, really hope so. Oh boy, I forgot what the question was. It's been so long. It's been 98 years since.
Well, now it's your turn.
Asked.
I'm sorry. This was. Do you know how many times I've fantasized about someone asking me what my dream outfit is? Imagine me in that coat, walking down Main Street, USA, with Gavin Friday's Angel playing. I'm telling you, if that would have happened in 2005, July 5th, in Memphis, Tennessee, the world would be vastly different.
Wow.
And that's all I'm gonna say.
Wow. Okay. I don't know how to follow that up.
You have to. Okay, your turn. Your turn.
I'm walking around the World Showplace Lagoon, I don't know, wearing Winnie the Pooh's shirt and nothing else. And the song is When You Wish Upon a Star. I don't know how to follow up.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Did I set the bar really high?
No, you destroyed it.
I talk about this coat all the time.
I know, and it's my favorite thing in the world, Kale.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
We have another question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, as much as it
what's your
feelings.
favorite season of Burberry?
Nope, it's never that. So this is from @RunDiveJWR asking, you have to get rid of one Epcot festival. The world will know you canceled it. Which one are you getting rid of?
Oh, man. Oh, that's a oof.
What?
Great question.
Great question.
Great sense of putting us in the most uncomfortable position ever.
I'm just going to say it. Food and wine. I'm getting rid of food and wine. Because it's always food and wine in Epcot, basically.
I disagree. If there was one I could save, it would be food and wine.
But have you been to Festival of the Arts, though?
Yeah, I've been to all of them.
Oh, I think Festival of the Arts is basically the same thing as food and wine, only better, because it's got more art involved.
Ooh, I don't know. I guess, honestly, if I had to, I love it, so I hate the thought of getting rid of it. But I would say that if I had to get rid of one, it would have to be Flower Garden. And I don't want to, but I have to.
Well,
if I have to,
yeah, you've done it.
But there food and wine, Patrick, those are fighting words. I can't believe you're giving me a hard time about this Burberry coat that I've drooled over since I was 21.
Let me consult my September issue of People magazine from 2012 and I'll get back to you.
First of all, I'm not obsessed. I only collect or keep rather the September issue because to me it's my favorite.
The fact that we're talking about it again makes me so
I'm sorry. Okay.
That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussions. Continue the conversation after this episode on Instagram and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See you real soon.
She R-worded him.
Oh dear.